Welcome to coverage of the final 9 holes of the 2015 21-hole salute, presented to you by Final Round Radio and Jomez Productions. We've got a great final 9 card here for you guys. KB, K Squared, tell us a little bit about what we're going to see here on the final 9.
Well, fellas, we're just coming off a really strong third round. These guys absolutely crushed it. Four players, all throwing over 1,000 rated. The big story definitely is the guy who's going to be leading us off shortly, Lance Brown. Thrown a 53 on this par 66 course, and I think that's 1053 rated is what it came out to.
Yeah, it's Macbeth territory with 1053 rated there.
Yeah, coming from a 1,000 rated player. Good job, Lance.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys attack this final 9. It's a unique final 9 where it's a tough finish with holes 20 and 21, and we start off with hole 1, then we go into hole 2, hole 3, hole 4, and par 4, 5, and 17, 18, and then wrap up the last 2.
On the card for this final 9 are Ken Tyburski at 24 under, Philo Brathwaite at 22 under, Weston Isaacs at minus 13, Hunter Todd at minus 17, and Lance Brown, we skipped over him, but he's at minus 24.
Shooting a 174 so far.
Who's this guy announcing there?
Yeah, me.
Nice shirt, KB. We like it. All right, guys, so hole 1 here. Great opening hole for this final 9. And as we've seen in the previous round's coverage, there's nothing gimme about this hole. That's a very particular line, even though it looks very open, that you got to hit. And Lance Brown does a nice job of getting that hyzer out there. He'll have a look for birdie.
No, I said it before, and I'll say it again. These guys really had a lot of trouble figuring out, the key to an easy bird on this hole. There is no easy bird. You're looking at 50-foot putt with an almost perfect drive.
Well, Lance seemed to be in a really good spot, though, don't you think there, K Squared?
Absolutely. I'd always say uphill putt over a downhill putt, and thankfully he didn't skip and roll away.
And there's Tyburski almost beelining for the second cameraman there. Almost took him out. Not sure if there was any contact there, but he'll be right down there where Lance Brown was.
Chris had to dance, but it looked like the only difference there is Ken went inside of that last tree and Lance was a little outside, so maybe 10 foot different.
10 feet might make all the difference here. See what Philo Brathwaite has to offer. Chucking that real stable T-bird he has, champ T-bird he has.
Gets a skip.
Same spot.
And it
Next on the
does
pad.
land.
I seem to remember K Squared posting out a picture here on hole 1.
Shooting a 181.
Here is Hunter Todd. He is a former champion of the R.L. Smith 21-hole salute back in 2013 when he destroyed the field by, 12, 13 strokes?
Kevin, what was that picture, though?
Well, you're about to see what looks like a really nice drive, and sure enough, Hunter Todd parks it right next to Philo and Lance Brown. These guys love their straight lines, it seems.
So they all end up within about a 20-foot radius of each other.
Except Ken Tyburski, who showed us how best to do this hole.
And these guys had to wait a long time to tee off here. And Kevin, you were talking a little bit about that earlier on. How did that affect these players waiting about an hour, 45 minutes to get going with this round?
Well, we're definitely playing in the hot Carolina sun. It's a wooded course, so there goes another park job, right? We're playing in a wooded course, but the heat was pretty tremendous out in the fields, out in the players' area. And these guys waited an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, to let all the other divisions play their final 9s.
So we're going to see a lot of upshots here, a lot of putts from this same area. See if any of the players on the final 9 can cash in on a birdie here and steal a stroke from the card.
Looks to be about 30 to 35 feet of putts here, so maybe a little bit tricky stances, I guess.
Tyburski able to cash in on the birdie, so he'll card the lone 2 on the card.
Yeah, having been tied for the lead, that was an important stroke for Tyburski, who's been killing him with the putts all tournament long.
And Tyburski's had a very good tournament. He has been either tied or had the lead for basically the entire tournament here.
Yeah, and historically here on the final 9, 4 under would be probably a pretty good final 9 score, and that should hold the win for you. So I would expect these guys to go low.
And Hunter Todd cleans up. On to hole number 2, 230 feet, par 3, the uphill wall that you have to throw into about a 45-degree angle. It really, there's probably not much better of a way to describe it. It's like throwing into the Hoover Dam, and if you have an arm, then you might be able to get up there.
Ooh, we see Ken doing what he did earlier in round 1 there, just hitting the trees on the left.
He finds himself out in the fairway, though, so we should have a clean look at his upshot.
It looks as though the purple polo just betrayed Lance Brown on that one.
Philo reaches around. A little bit wide, a little bit short, but he will have a look at his 2. Hunter Todd, again, he's familiar with these lines.
Yeah,
Probably the most familiar player on the course.
We're not going to see anything interesting off the tee here. I mean, you're either going to – you almost can't miss it too far right. You know, it's hard to miss this hole too far right. So that's almost what you're trying to do off the tee pad.
So what you're saying is Philo played it about as well as you can.
Yeah,
Here
pretty
is
much.
Hunter Todd's upshot. He had to drop from where his disc was, which was up in the trees there.
You'll notice that in the background holding that umbrella is Charlie Coleman.
Who's he caddying for in that final 9?
You know, he had a rough last round, but he wanted to come back and show some support to Weston Isaacs, who came back and took him just by a couple of strokes.
Nice putt.
And speaking of Weston, he cleans up a deuce on hole number 2. Philo Brathwaite from about 40 feet out tries the same. Just off the top of the band, and uh-oh, that is a death roll all the way down the hill.
Rolling.
That is the last thing that you want to see when you're out here on hole number 2. And Philo cleans it back up, but
I remember we had a gallery out there, and I remember him looking at the gallery saying, that's disc golf. You know, and he's pretty much right.
that's true. No matter how good you are, no matter how consistent you are, sometimes you're just going to get a bounce like that, put it up on its edge, and you just have to wave and think of the memories that you had with that disc, which were, the last one at least wasn't a very good one.
And then we're bringing those memories back up in video form. Good for us.
Yes,
we'll
exactly.
make sure they last forever. Hey, did you guys see the pro move there by Tyburski to take a knee for his 2-foot putt?
Yeah, it was smart.
Hole number 3, 265 feet downhill, par 3. Of course, 3 different ways to attack the basket: backhand, forehand, or overhand right down the middle. And Weston Isaacs elected for that thumber shot. Cuts down right by the basket, pops up, gets the roll, and it's going to go into the woods just past the pin.
Really, we've got a 2-man race here, unless somebody really pushes hard in the last 7 holes here. So, Lance and Ken are fighting.
Tyburski going straight at the basket, kicks up a little bit, and it's going to roll and finish nicely about 15 feet away.
Yeah, starting off, that birdie by Tyburski really made a difference.
Nice forehand shot. Also lays up next to the pin. Another forehand look from Hunter Todd. Looking for that skip. Gets up a little bit short, but he'll be well within range for his deuce. Here's Philo.
Staying consistent with his backhand hyzer.
And, just by the pin, and it skips. Goes off into those woods. But we've seen Philo hit about 3 or 4 putts from that distance already this tournament. So
we saw him hit a putt from the tee pad, too, last round.
that was pretty nice. I think we'll let a lot of people see that shot.
Yeah, that's true.
And Philo just making me look good for once there, because I predicted he would hit that shot.
So, guys, if you're Lance and Ken, do you guys like having the tee pad and putting the pressure on, or do you like answering to maybe a poor shot throughout the round?
You gotta put the pressure on somebody. It's not that I'm on the lead card for many tournaments or anything, but if I was, I would want to be the one that's up front, setting the tone for the hole.
No, these guys are definitely battling back and forth. They're about 2-3 strokes ahead of the rest of the field, so you definitely want to be out front, throwing the big shot and daring the person behind you to try to make up with it.
Ken cleans up. Weston's going to do the same. And definitely a hole that you want to get a birdie on here. If you walk away with a 3 on this card, then you're probably losing a stroke.
Yeah, we had almost a star frame, too.
Hole number 4, 420 feet straight ahead, par 3. There is OB to the creek along right side of the fairway, and, of course, dense, thick woods to the left. Tyburski off the tee. Of course, you want to throw a nice hyzer flip, have it finish very softly there on the fairway, and stay clean both ways.
Not his most ideal shot, but Tyburski made it clear that this was his favorite hole.
That is
And
perfect
that
right
is
there.
a great line off the forehand. Unbelievable. A very risky shot, too, when you're bringing the forehand line into play because, of course, that fades towards the OB that runs along the right side.
Hunter's doing a great job at aiming about 3 feet over that pole, and he just doesn't have the distance for this hole. That's all there is to it. I mean, he's probably throwing driver there.
Yeah, he was definitely going fairway, and his big concern was whether or not.
Oh, Philo. Anheuser's out and gets into that rough on the right. It's going to go out of bounds.
That almost takes Philo out of contention for the title, I would say.
Yeah, after that bogey stroke on 2 and now taking that OB stroke right here, he basically has to throw it in.
And this is a tough Anheuser backhand shot that he goes with, and it fades out on him, goes OB. And if he wasn't out of the running already, that certainly made it cemented there.
Really strange seeing a guy like that out of the running, with holes left in the tournament.
Here is Tyburski, lays up just a little bit short. He'll have a bit of a tester as he comes back to try and finish that one off. Here's Hunter Todd, 2013 21-hole salute champion. Makes a little bit of a run at it, but it sits down nice and soft there. Again, all that ground on this green in particular is different from all the others in that it's sand. It's made up of nice, soft sand, and it'll catch your disc and prevent a lot of skips when you play
Man's
the
caught a
ground.
lot of chains there for that not to stay.
He really wanted it. See,
Philo probably not happy cleaning that one out. And there's that tester, Tyburski, uncharacteristically missing it. The rest of the round, the rest of the tournament so far, he's been pretty consistent with his putter.
You said that was a tester. Did you have a feeling that pressure might get to him on that putt, Andy?
Well, of course. I mean, circle's edge putts in the final line of a tournament. I mean, circle's edge putt in the first round of a tournament are two different things. So perhaps the pressure got to him a little bit.
No, really, he was looking at a little bit of a death putt, and he saw Lance really go at it aggressively.
But Tyburski cleans it up, and we'll move on to hole number 5. Hole number 5, like K-Squared was saying, probably one of the toughest holes on the course itself. It is a par 4 with a very tight fairway that snakes around left to right, and then left to right again with a finishing green that is sloped left to right, which also brings into the OB that runs along the left side of the creek in play.
Lance was probably a little too tight there. So I'm sure he'll have a layup before the creek.
Good-looking forehand shot there from Hunter Todd. I can't see from the second cameraman, but from the tee, that looks like a great placement. Oh, a little bit low and wide from Weston Isaacs.
Weston did that earlier, ended up right side, so let's see where he ends up there.
Tyburski skating along that left edge, and he hits the sewer main. He'll stop inbounds, but not the ideal look.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, both Philo here and Weston, found themselves in pretty much the same spot, far right in the rough.
Here's Tyburski's second shot, and this will be a layup trying to get it down to that other sewer main that's down at the end of the fairway. If you can do that, then you'll have a clean look at your 3.
Sometimes a bad throw on the tee shot is not terrible because it forces you to get the 4 instead of trying to get the birdie, which turns into a 5.
That's true. If you decide to get it up onto the green there, then you really have to commit to that shot. That's not one that you can go half speed at. Here's Philo, who had an amazing shot from a similar position in round 1. This time
too.
ends up very nicely. A little bit further out.
Kevin, what was that shot like compared to that one we saw in the first round?
There was a little bit of trouble that Philo was dealing with. He was looking for a similar window, but there was one nagging branch that was right in his way.
Oh,
See,
man.
tough forehand there for Lance Brown.
Lance Brown just a little bit low on his approach, and he's going to go OB.
You'd imagine that Ken Tyburski can throw with a lot more confidence after seeing that.
And we have he has another tester. He just missed a putt just like that on the last hole, so hopefully he can kind of stroke it in this time.
Backhand Anheuser shot from Isaacs, trying to attack the slope. Gets up there nice and clean. Here's Hunter Todd with a jump putt. Tries to make a run at it, just a bit to the right.
There's a nice little gallery we got following him.
And a nice upshot there from Lance Brown, but of course he'll probably not be happy with that one, having to take a circle stroke.
It's a good birdie.
It's a real tight birdie off that second shot, and Philo was pleased with that good break that he got there.
That's more
Ken
like Ken we
cleans
know.
up.
Absolutely.
And that's the type of focus that you have to have here on a final line in order to close out the competition. Hunter Todd.
That was a par, wasn't it, for Ken there?
That was.
So now we're having a slightly different transition than the guys have been accustomed to, going from hole 5 now over to hole number 17, which is the 6th hole in our final 9.
Hole number 17, 226 feet, par 3, a forehand shot mostly, although there is a backhand Anheuser route as well, but you really want to try and either attack the right to left slope with however you can, and Philo shows you a very good way to do that.
He wanted that so bad, you could tell.
Here is the forehand route from Hunter Todd.
Don't we
trying
all
to get
know?
that skip, and Hunter Todd shows you what else you can throw.
2 aces, 1 tournament. How do you guys feel about that?
I think that'd be some great play. Oh, that was a terrible route right there. That was a pretty good backhand line.
A little bit low, and that kind of line opens you up to that. You have to get it up a little bit higher so it spikes down and fights against the slope.
That's one of the benefits of the forehand on this hole, is that if you have the right disc, nice and stable, it'll fight its way up the hill.
Ken putting that forehand where he just did was great under pressure, because with the 2-stroke lead, there's another birdie. That's a 3-stroke lead if Lance just didn't do what he did. So Ken's putting a little pressure on, like we were talking about.
And Weston Isaacs cleans up his 3, a circle 3 from going out of bounds. Big putt there from Philo Brathwaite for the birdie. Philo may be out of it, but he's still competing.
I think he's always competing.
Oh, just on the strong side of the chains. Hunter Todd pops out.
And with a clutch putt.
Yeah, it really was. About, 25? Another 25-footer dead in the middle.
These guys
Down-
make it look easy. Those downhill putts are challenging.
Again, of course, they're looking at the OB creek that's behind the pin as well. So that, of course, comes into play whenever you're putting from downhill, from the downhill angle. We're going to move on into hole number 18, 300 feet, par 3, downhill, straight ahead shot. One of the most beautiful closing holes in golf for the normal 18-hole layout here at R.L. Smith. There's OB behind the pin, so you don't want to go too far. Philo gets out just a little early. Looked like he just released that one earlier than he wanted to, and it skips off into the woods. Tyburski making a run at it, and he gets knocked down by a rogue iron leaf
The door is open
on the
right
right side
here.
of the fairway.
That 2-stroke lead could be a 2-stroke swing.
Here is Lance trying to put the pressure on. Oh, and it sails out of bounds. That's a tough break.
When you see your opportunity to make up a stroke going into the last 2 holes of the final 9, it's hard not to go too aggressive, and Lance paid the price right there.
A little adrenaline pumping through, hoping to get that line instead of focusing on the power.
Hunter Todd caught some late trees there too, and he is knocked down probably about 75 feet from the pin. So nobody's parked it here. That's pretty unusual for most cards. Really, you'll see a couple people park this hole on any given card.
Tough break coming out of the rough, going well over the basket into the OB.
Yeah,
And there's a smart play. That's a very smart play.
that is.
Protect the lead.
Again, the roll-away potential right behind that pin. You've got about 10 to 12 feet behind the pin before the slope starts.
Fowler
Big
knew he had a
putt.
4-stroke lead over the 4th place there. He was going for it. He really wanted that putt.
This is an important putt here to keeping it even. for
And
the hole.
he keeps it at par, so that matches Ken. So even though he goes out of bounds, he's still able to keep pace with Tyburski. So big putting is the difference. And, well, Hunter's like, well, I got 1 belt under my name, so.
That's true. We should have a belt. We should create a 21-hole salute belt. Let's go literal.
That's your call, isn't it, KB?
Yeah.
It's TD, so as long as it has a spinning medallion on it, I think we'll be okay.
We do a giant. We do a giant check also. So check that out on Facebook.
Hole number 20, 225 feet downhill, par 3, of course, through the rubber tire wall and the about 30-foot radius there on the circle that you got to work with. Got to get it inbounds, and that is far on the far side of the
Not bad,
island.
Weston.
but it's inbounds.
I almost thought that Charlie Coleman threw right there. It came in so fast.
Here's Philo off the hill, fading down a little early. Spikes into the ground there, so he didn't quite get the skip that I think he wanted, but he'll still be about 20 feet away. Set shot coming up for Ken Tyburski. Also looking for the skip, and doesn't quite get it.
It's a
So
relatively easy shot. If you just overthink it is when it gets a little bit tricky, and the wind actually wasn't too terrible right now.
And the forehand sits nicely.
That'd
great
sweet to ace it right there.
Yeah, at this point, the guys are playing for everything. Right now, Lance Brown is saying, I need to make the most of every single shot.
Hunter Todd, he was tracking that one. Really wanted that one to go in. Just on the outside of the chains. Oh, speaking of the outside of the chains,
Yeah, that am side tickler from Weston Isaacs right there.
here's Philo for his deuce. He goes long. He looked like he missed right.
Rare airmail.
Oh, a little bit low. You could see it right out of his hands. It was just a line drive. Never had the height to get into the chains.
So Ken's going to lose a stroke, so it's going to be one going into the last hole. After that tap in right there.
That does it. So, yeah, Lance Brown now. Just a one-stroke deficit on Ken Tyburski, the leader, going into the final hole here at the 21-hole salute.
So if you're Lance Brown, how do you keep your cool? How do you keep your head in the game going into this last hole with one stroke?
330 feet par 3, hole 21, and of course you're staring at that big elevated basket and the slope behind it. This is a particularly tough hole.
And he's going for it, too. He wants a birdie here to close out.
And not leaving any to chance. Throws the big sky forehand. It hooks up, and oh, it goes out of bounds. Tough break for Lance Brown.
At least it went out of bounds right there, though. That could have been ugly quick.
Yeah, that quick kilted spotter ran right to the spot.
Here's Hunter Todd, and oh, he had to be just inches from the OB line there. That is a tough break for Hunter. Weston Isaacs lines up the backhand. And this one's coming in nice. It's got a good line.
And this.
And then it's just that slope where the pin is at is clearly causing some issues for all players of all skill levels.
I'm just laughing at Kyle Hogan standing on the dunk tank, topless and scary.
Philo Brathwaite throwing that T-bird again, and he goes out of bounds. So staying inbounds on this hole is the key. And
This is an
we'll see
important
what
throw
Ken
here.
throws. Ken's going for it too.
Yeah, he busts out his Z Predator here, and he said, I'm going for it.
Oh
And
my
he
God.
takes that wide skip, never gets it in line. And so, KB, why didn't we see any of the men's pro players ever trying to just, do like you said with the other rounds with the women's cards and just try and play safe, lay up with a mid-range?
I don't know, but
put it
this
behind the
has to sit. Oh, it's in. Wow. That was a huge shot. He needed to get that up and down to force a playoff.
That was huge.
I don't know. I don't know why they don't just go putter off there. Confidence. These guys have a lot of confidence in their game, and I don't care if you give them a 5-foot island. They probably think they can do it.
Right there would have been a great moment for somebody to be walking with Ken Tyburski to say, hey, don't pull a Johnny McRae moment. You can just lay up, and take this after Lance Brown went out. So that was a tough break for Ken.
Big putt there from Lance Brown, and he knows that was a big one. And now it comes down to Ken to force it. In the middle, dead center, committed to it, no questions about it. We're headed for a playoff.
The crowd absolutely went nuts. You could see Lance Brown going over there to congratulate Ken for the moment. The energy out here is ridiculous right now.
Yeah, these guys don't want to know what's coming up next either. So as you can see at this tournament, if you're the open card, we've never had a playoff, but you have to play hole 21 over and over and over again until we have a winner. So let's see where strategy comes into play here.
And, well, this is a hole that can separate players on any given throw, as we've seen. A lot of OB, a lot of rollaways. We'll see what happens.
That hole.
These guys are some class acts.
Going for it.
ripping out that low, stable forehand.
He's got the skip, and it finishes softly right in front of the basket. Oh, my gosh. That is a
Wow.
prime time shot.
Well, now there's only one option here for Ken. He's got to try to put it in play.
Backhand Heiser skips up, finishes softly within the 20-foot circle. Oh my gosh. Both players, after seeing out-of-bounds shot after out-of-bounds shot off the tee, we see both of them in the heads-up playoffs of the final 9, parking it within 20 feet. What a shot from both competitors.
Huge putt.
A little left.
That was a little bit left on the outside edge, but it sticks just the same.
Look at the smiles on the spectators' face. They love it.
And here's Ken to force
Another play.
all right, which means another playing of the 21st hole.
Now you can see the adjustment that Ken made on that shot. He had to disc down, club down to that stable mid-range, and he took a narrow line. He wasn't taking any chances with a wide skip shot.
What are we doing?
What do you think this walk is like, guys? I mean, you're the only 2 people walking back to that tee pad. I know right now Lance is talking about, hey, are we really doing 21 over and over again?
Got to play.
What do you think they're talking about right here?
Well, they're just, hey, best man wins. Let's do it. Let's figure out who
I think
it
I
is.
did hear they are splitting the money. They're just playing for the title. So that's the rumor that I heard. I think that's what they were talking about.
There's Lance busting out that forehand. It's a little bit tighter of a line, and oh, that's going to be trouble for Lance Brown. So Ken Tyburski steps to the pad. If he can place this one like he placed the last shot.
Same disc, that Z Hornet. Similar line. Can he keep it? Can he keep it?
It's fading towards the basket. Going long. Just out of bounds. Oh, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow.
We're going to have to do this another time?
Hey, but pay close attention to where each of these guys went out. That's a tough place to be right here where Lance Brown is.
This is certainly a death putt right here. Oh, my goodness.
He had to.
He got lucky there because if he had sailed past the basket, he might have been looking at another OB.
Bang.
That is it. There is your 2015 21-hole salute champion, Ken Tyburski.
It's got to be good to win this tournament. I know that he actually came off the wait list, and got in and drove down here last night. So actually one of the sweet victory for him.
Well, he's able to close it out with a great performance here at R.L. Smith.
Oh no, they got him.
That is it for the 2015 21-hole salute brought to you by Final Round Radio and Jomez Productions. Guys, I want to thank you so much once again for tuning into the video on YouTube. And for those of y'all familiar with Final Round Radio, we are on iTunes, we are on Stitcher Radio. Follow us, find us, favorite us, subscribe, and listen to Final Round Radio. And thanks again for Jomez Productions as well.
Hey guys, thanks for watching.
See ya.
Yes!